Hi everyone, we're back this week with the number one sport in the world, soccer. Again, I'm going to add the disclaimer that I know nothing about the sport that we are about to talk about, but we're really, really excited. But before we start, Raquel has a public service announcement for all of our listeners.
All right, listeners. So we are still looking for those athlete shout-outs from our local coaches, all sports, all schools. And what we really want is to hear about these awesome athletes. We have met so many amazing young people doing this show. So we know that our city's full of them. We want the shout outs from the coaches, and the information we're looking for is the coach's name, the school, the sport, the student's name, and also a few sentences just telling us what makes this kid stand out. What we're going to do is on our last episode, which is very quickly approaching, we are going to be sharing these shout outs, and we really want to have as many schools, students, and sports represented as we could. So we're looking to get these by Wednesday, March 27th. You can email them to Raquel or Kelly. You can find us on our socials. You can send them to Saultsports through their Facebook Messenger. There's lots of ways that you can get this to us. And also, any athletes listening, you know what? You could do a shout out for your coach.
Ooh, yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Do a shout out for your coach, because you know what? We've met some pretty amazing coaches too.
Yeah.
But athletes, you could also shout out your fellow athletes. Why not, right?
Yeah.
This city is full of amazing young people, and we want to give credit everywhere that we can. So please get that to us by Wednesday, March 27th, so that we can get everything together and organized for our last show. So that is Raquel's public service announcement, and we will turn to our regular programming of learning about soccer with Coach Dina Mandalisi from Superior Heights. So she's going to start off by telling us about herself and her history with soccer, which brought her to where she is today. And then she has the wonderful job of teaching Raquel and Kelly about the sport. Best of luck, Dina.
Well, thank you. My name's Dina Mandalisi, and I'm a teacher at Superior Heights. I have played soccer since I was 6 years old, so a little wee lad. I actually played out for a little bit until my mom realized I was a ball hog, so she threw me in net.
Oh.
It was quite annoying, but yeah, then I went in net. And then I also played on our civics team, so I think it's called Sioux Youth United now, like the rep teams, when I was under 11, and I played all the way through as a keeper. So I was not playing out, I was in net, if you want to know what that means. Yes, a keeper.
A keeper is a goalie. See, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, and then I played high school as well. And then after high school, I went and did my post-secondary education at Laurentian University, and I actually got to play soccer there as well. So it was awesome.
And so how did you get to be a coach at Superior Heights?
So when I was younger, I had the opportunity to play all the sports in high school. So I wanted to give back to our community and still kind of be involved with all the sports that I love. So yeah, just wanted to be that role model for other people, because I had amazing coaches along the way, and I wanted to share some of my knowledge that I learned from them, and just give others the opportunity to actually play. Yeah.
And do you coach both girls and boys teams?
No, well, soccer, just the open girls soccer team.
Okay.
But I do coach the boys volleyball team and then the senior girls volleyball team as well.
Okay. Well, because she played all the sports in high school, right?
Yeah.
You would have been a star on the Raquel and Kelly Sports Talk Show back in the day. We would be like, she can just come every episode.
We are going to jump right in. So always with the premise that we know nothing.
Yeah.
We need to start with the basics. I know that the ball is black and white,
Mm-hmm.
and it's round. And there's two nets.
And it rolls.
And it rolls, and you're not supposed to touch it with your hands unless you're the keeper.
Oh, see?
And you get to wear the funny gloves.
Yeah,
I
and
do
really
know there's
fun jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
A different jersey?
And
Yes.
a different jersey for a keeper.
Okay.
All right, so give us the
Here we
basics.
go.
Here we go.
Okay, so it starts off with a coin toss. Whoever wins the toss gets to decide if they want first ball or what side they want. And that could be a really good strategy because in a lot of cases, especially, well, anywhere but in the Sioux, we get a lot of wind. So some teams would rather have the wind on their side first to play with the wind, and then the opposing team would have the first ball. So if you do a coin flip, you win the coin toss. You can decide if you want the ball or side. The goal of the game is to get the ball into the opposing team's net. But just like you said, you can't touch it with your hands, so you're dribbling, you're passing to your teammates. If the ball goes out of the field, whoever touched it last, the other team gets to have the ball. And
that's the same as basketball.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have to throw the ball in, but if you don't do the throw in properly, then it goes to the opposing team. Yeah.
And how many players are on the field at once? And what about positions?
So there's 11 people, including the goalie. So 10 players, 1 person in net. We have defenders, or the defensemen, midfielders, and strikers, also known as like the forwards. Tons of different formations that you can play. So a lot of the time, especially in the Sioux, we play 4-4-2. So 4 defensemen, 4 midfields, and 2 forwards. Some people play 4-3-3, so 4 defensive, 3 midfields, and 3 strikers. It all depends on the athletes that you have that year.
But both teams are playing the same formation?
Not necessarily, no.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can play any formation that you
Okay.
want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you have, I'm going to take the goalie or the keeper out of
Yeah.
it right now. So you have
So
10,
just 10.
10 people
Yeah.
on the field. Do generally people stay within their position? So like if I always play defense, am I always going to play defense? Or is there fluidity in the positions?
There's fluidity, so if, depending on formations and styles, but if you have your defensive wingers and they decide to go up, sometimes like a defensive mid can kind of slide into their place. But for the most part, once they go all the way up, they will come back to their position.
Okay.
So there is some, like, there's fluidity, but once they go, some people will cover and then they'll kind of slide back into their position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is it similar to hockey, like in a way?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was
That's what
thinking
I
when
was
you were
picturing, yeah.
when you were
Kind of
explaining it.
Like all sports, to be honest. Like if, even in basketball, point guard goes in and is playing down low, but they're going to come back out. It's, yeah. It's all the same.
Okay. So, sorry, we just had a moment there. Just ignore us, okay? Anyway, so one of the things that I want to know is how do you use your body? So I know obviously the goal is to kick the ball,
Yep.
which you call a dribble.
You can
No.
dribble.
You dribble it with your foot?
Dribble it with your feet. You can pass it with your feet. You can shoot with your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Controlling the ball, you can use any part of your body but your hands. So you can take it down with your chest, with your knee, your feet. You can also head the ball.
Right. I was going to ask that, but yes. So that is legal
That
to
is
do.
illegal. And you really want to make sure that you're making connection to the ball. So you're hitting the ball. You don't want the ball to hit you because that is when it hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking in soccer, like you mentioned about the chest. So and I don't even know the right term. So anyway, but somebody has kicked the ball
Yep.
and they've kicked it very hard. So it's gone up in the air and it's arcing down.
Yes.
Right. And I've seen like the athletes where they stick out their chest, right? So the ball kind of gets absorbed
Yep.
by their chest,
Yep.
right? Does that move have a name? Because it's common.
It is.
Let's make one up.
Well, just taking it down with your body, like it's a
Yeah.
chest to the ground.
Okay. So it's not a move that has an actual name?
No, not
okay.
really.
Okay. I've seen it. I mean, listen to me, as if I've watched a lot of soccer. I've seen it all the time. No, I have not, but I have seen players do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wondered if it had like an actual name. So really any body part except for your hands is
Hands,
okay.
yes.
Okay, let's just get technical. What if accidentally the ball hit my hand?
So, depending on the ref that day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If it is ball to hand and it's really unintentional, sometimes they'll let it go.
Okay.
If it hits your hand, they're going to call they'll blow their whistle, and it will be the other. It's like a foul, so it'll be the other team's ball,
Okay.
and then they'll get a free kick.
Okay. So a free kick would mean literally I'm going to kick the ball at the net.
It could be at the net. It could just be to put it back into play.
Oh,
so
I see.
Like,
okay.
To depending on where it is, but if it's like outside the 18-yard box, sometimes like we have different plays. So again, it could be like a run-through ball. It can be tossing the ball far so that one of our players can head the ball into the net. It just all depends on where
Right.
it is kind of on the field. But yeah, it's really just to make you have a good opposition, like to get the ball in the net.
Right. Okay.
Let's move on to talking about the tryout process and how athletes get on the team. Do you find that you're having players show up in grade 9 that have no experience with soccer?
Yeah.
So it is a sport that you could start?
You can, and it all depends too. Like this year, I think we're going to have an open team, so that means grade 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. But depending, if we get a lot of grade 9s, we're hoping maybe we can do a junior, senior, but we might do open. But soccer is a very, very short season in high school, so it's around like 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh.
It's very, very quick. But a lot of athletes have already played basketball, soccer, like they've had a lot of time to kind of get themselves prepared for soccer. So if you can run, if you can have a little bit of control on the ball, it's easy to kind of teach these athletes kind of how to progress. But yeah, we do definitely get all different types of athletes that come out to.
Okay. Is there some concern that there wouldn't be enough kids coming out, and do you know why that is? Or is it the time of year, or is it?
I'm not sure. It's definitely like some students don't want to be like the multi team athlete. Like track's going on right now as well too. So a lot of athletes do pick just one, which we're trying to kind of get away from. Like we want them to play both. It could be that, but we're trying to get some more kids out. And it could be because they might be uncomfortable. They're in grade 9. They're not like confident enough to come out yet, but we're trying to get some kids out to see if we can make some 2 teams.
Okay, so continuing with tryouts, because soccer starts almost immediately in September, or is it August?
It's actually right now.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
So you're doing tryouts and practice right now?
It's probably starting next week, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The weather isn't cooperating with that, with all the snow we have in Sault Ste.
So we're definitely going to start inside,
Yes.
and then hopefully in a few weeks we'll be able to get back out on the turf. But yeah, we were high hopes last week.
Of course, yeah. So sorry, then the first though game is like right away in September?
No, in May. In May.
Oh, you actually start games now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So last year we started, I believe it. Again, it all depends on weather.
Right.
But it was middle of May.
Okay.
And then, so it's very, very short.
So it has to be
Okay.
short,
Yeah, very short season.
And is it like football in terms of every school comes to the Superior Heights turf?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't sure.
Okay. I thought that they played games in September for some reason. But you know what I'm realizing now? It's because I was with my son playing football and the turf being shared with soccer players. I just realized, though, those were all varsity.
I was going to say Algoma.
It was all Algoma
Yeah.
U Varsity soccer on there, and I was thinking that it was a combination of Algoma U Varsity and also high school, not realizing that, like, whoa, do I ever have to learn, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'd be ready for that game in September and the whole season's over.
Yep, soccer starts in like around, next week and then goes just a little bit into June. But yeah, it's very, very short.
Right.
And quick.
Short,
Yeah.
Yes, it is for sure. So I see now why you're talking about how it interferes with track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And badminton's going on right now.
And badminton's
Yeah.
going on right
So
now.
that one's
Yeah.
kind of dwindling down. Dwindling down. Track's going to be starting. Soccer's
Yeah.
going to be starting. But athletes, if you are out there, please, please, please do both. You can do it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's good advice, yeah.
That is good advice,
Yeah.
for sure. So I have a question about specifically what makes a good soccer player. Are there specific attributes? And the one thing I always think about soccer is like, I guess I'd call it the cardio component, because soccer is, well, it's a huge field.
Oh, yeah.
With really only a handful of people on it when you look at the size of the field and the amount of running that takes place, right? So what attributes do make a good soccer player?
Well, first it comes with like the mental portion of it.
Yeah.
So we always look for athletes who are dedicated. So if you are going to come to tryouts beforehand, coming to practice beforehand, you're not late, you're prepared, and you're willing to help. So those athletes that come and be like, Miss, can I help set up anything? Can I help in any way? Those are athletes that we're looking for. And just willing to take constructive criticism. So not being defeated when we ask them to do something, but taking that and trying something new, because that's showing that you're coachable. And just individuals who are good leaders, and it doesn't necessarily have to be vocal leaders, but you can be a quiet leader, but then again, coming to practice early, just leading by example. We're just looking for those type of athletes, and athletes that just can get along with each other, which is a huge thing, because if you can't get along with your teammates, you can't be successful. So just being like confident and being able to communicate with others and just trying your hardest and giving us effort, that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I love that so many coaches, when we ask this question, so many of the coaches have focused on skills that are not the athletic skills.
We can teach you those, but
right.
we can't really teach you how to come out of your shell, how to be vocal.
Right.
We can, but that takes a lot of time. But we can definitely teach you the skills, but we just need you to show effort.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot about the effort and the enthusiasm, grit.
That's what it is, yeah.
It's grit, right? Angela Duckworth, grit, TED Talk, just throwing that out there. It's a good one to watch. But that comes up a lot, right? That ability to stick with it, even when things don't go well for you. And we've heard about coaches saying too how athletes respond when things don't go well. When they had a bad game, when they had a bad shot, right?
Yeah.
How do they handle that? And that's, so it's interesting that one of the themes that we've had is that it's not always going to come down to your actual physical skills.
Right,
Yeah.
Because you can be very skillful, but if you can't work with other people, it's hard to put you on the field. There's 9 other players that are there, so.
And it's a team sport.
It's a team sport, yeah.
Yeah. So athletes listening.
That's great.
Just, good stuff there.
So maybe we could move into some terminology.
And specific questions, because I have a few.
Well, you can start.
Okay, so I want to know, what is futsal? And I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right. Is it futsal?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is futsal and how is it different from other soccer?
So futsal is done inside. So
Okay, so that's really the main difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a few rule difference. So when the ball goes out of bounds, you kick it in, you don't throw it in.
Uh-huh.
And it's a lot faster play, depending on, if you're playing on turf or if you're playing on the floor, like gym floor. But 5-on-5, so it's not, there's not a lot of people on the court. Quicker passes, more ball control, but just like a smaller space.
Right, so things just go a lot faster in that smaller space. Yeah, okay. Which is kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure. So, okay, I'm glad now I know.
So how do penalties work? So is a player leaving the field like they would leave the ice in hockey, or is there a box somewhere?
Is it extra kicks? What is it?
How does that work?
Penalty is like a foul, so they did something they shouldn't have. So it could be that you tripped somebody, you pushed somebody, you got in their way, delay of game, could be unsportsmanlike.
Okay.
So the ref would call it a penalty, and then the other team would get a free kick. And some of these penalties could result in yellow cards. So
That was a question we have. Like, what is this card business?
So, depending on what they do, the ref can call a yellow card, which just means like this is your warning. If you get 2 yellow cards, you get kicked out of the game. If you get a red card, it's an immediate, you get kicked out of the game. That's more usually for like unsportsmanlike, or you totally tackle a ball that's, or the person and not even close to being the ball. So you're putting somebody else kind of in harm, but ejected right away.
And does somebody come on in that person's absence, or is it
Yeah.
you've lost that player?
Oh gosh, it's been a hot second. They are off. I think somebody else gets to come back in.
Okay.
So it's not like hockey
Where they get
where
to-
No,
the other
it's-
team gets the
no.
power play, right?
No.
Because you're down a player.
Yeah.
So it's not like that. You don't think?
I'd have to. I don't remember now that I think of that. My main goal was to keep the ball out of the net. I was a keeper, and you know what? It's very like it doesn't usually happen often. It happened, I think, once when I was in university. Like it's not something that happens all the time.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, now I forget.
That's okay. We never knew. You could have just lied, Dina.
Still don't know.
You could have just lied.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Is there a bicycle kick? Is that something?
Yeah, so that is like an acrobatic move where the ball's in the air and they actually like kick the ball over their head.
I know what that looks like.
yeah.
Yes.
It looks great. I can't imagine how it would feel when you hit the ground.
Oh dear.
But yeah, there is a bicycle kick.
Okay. And what does some training in the off season look like? Like we've heard other sports where they continue through the year.
Yeah. So, well, as an athlete,
Yeah.
For that part, it's mostly like weightlifting and a lot of interval training. For our school sports, we don't do a lot of the off training just because there's a lot of the athletes are playing other sports, so they are getting that cardio in. But definitely just keeping yourself active is what we're trying to get
Okay.
to be.
So I have a question. We mentioned when we first started that soccer is considered to be the #1 most popular sport in the world. Canada, it isn't. I don't have research to back up that claim, but I think I'm pretty accurate with that. But I've heard that in North America, primarily the States and Canada, where soccer hasn't been as popular, it is growing in popularity. Have you seen more and more athletes that are like doing clubs, like we talked about civics, which we don't even think is called civics anymore,
No,
but
I think it's called Student United.
student, right?
Yeah.
So like all of these programs, right? Are we seeing an influx in interest in soccer in our community?
I believe so. Like I've heard that there's a lot, like for each age category, sometimes they have A and B teams.
Oh wow!
Which
yeah,
means more people
Yes.
coming out. So that's awesome. They're starting their, I guess, competitive teams quite young, which I don't agree with at all, but you're getting people involved in the sport, which I think is great. But yeah, I think there are a lot of people, and when we talk about it at school, like a lot of people like the sport. I think it's because there's more people on the field, so they feel like they're more a part of a team, and they have more people to kind of rely on. So it's just overall a really fun sport to play, and I can attest to that. I think it's one of the best sports ever made, but
That's awesome.
and you've played a lot of soccer.
I have.
You've played a lot of soccer, yeah. One of the things that you mentioned about team dynamics is how do you manage the dynamics of a team where team dynamics are so important to the success of the team?
And
Yeah.
especially when it's going to be a 9, 10, 11, like that's a big age.
That's a big
Yeah.
age gap, yeah.
So what I try to do is when we do have practices and we're doing some sort of like group things, I put them into groups so that they get to know each other, and we do a lot of like get to know each other games before we even get started, because one, we need to know who we're playing with, and for majority of the time they do know who they are, but they don't, like they've seen them around but they don't like know them.
Right.
So lots of like get to know you activities, some team parties, and then when it comes to drills, I mix and mingle them so that they can get to know them all. That's, yeah.
Are there captains on the soccer team?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you choosing kind of younger and older, or is it?
Depending on that year. Last year it was a grade 12.
Okay.
Which was Taya Shackleton. So
Yes.
she's Superior Heights
Yeah.
alumni, and she actually went and is playing at Algoma University right now.
Nice.
This year we don't know who we have yet.
So stay tuned.
Yes.
Yes.
But usually, even for any sport, we try to do an older, younger,
Okay.
and even if it's grade 12, grade 11, just so that we have two people to talk to and kind of see what's going on.
And then
But-
the continued growth with that
Yeah,
younger person,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I have one more question. I feel like we're running out of time.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to picture it in my head. So there's 10
Yep.
on the field. How many are on the sideline? How many children or athletes are rostered?
So it depends. We like to take anywhere between 18 to 20, just because it is later in the year. A lot of them have work, other sports, and we find that at the end of the year, a lot of them get injuries.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so the more that we have, the merrier,
Yeah.
and it gives more people the opportunity to be a part of a team. So that's why we like to take a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, our time is up.
Already? That was
Already.
quick.
No.
And I didn't even get to tell you that I used to be a soccer coach.
Come on.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. So anyway,
You also
I was
didn't
the
say
worst
you
soccer
were
coach ever in the history of soccer coaches. No, Karen Cormier was the convener of soccer a million years ago. And she's the mom of Christopher Cormier and Chloe Cormier, another soccer player. And she was the convener when, I don't know, like my son was JK. And she begged and pleaded. They were so short for soccer coaches. And I said, I know nothing about soccer. She said, you don't need to. There just needs to be somebody on the field. And so I said yes. I had no idea what I was doing. But what was funny is who was on Max's team? Camden O'Neill, Liam Ouellette, two athletes we've had on here. And actually, Max has, maintained friendships with some of those kids. But yeah, I knew nothing. But I wanted my kid to be able to play, and they needed coaches, so I stepped up.
I feel like you might know a little bit more now.
But I know more now than I did then. I should have had Dina with me. So, Dina, thanks so much for giving us some time and being the only soccer coach. But you handled every question perfectly.
Well, thank you.
You taught us a lot.
We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and have a great soccer season.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, bye.
Yep. Okay, and we're back with our athletes for our soccer episode, and we are very lucky tonight to be joined by two athletes from two different schools in our city, AJ Cochmelio and Tyler Greco. We're going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, their history with the sport, how they got where they are today, and AJ has agreed to go first.
Yeah, my name's AJ Cochmelio. I've been playing soccer since I was 4 years old, so first experience probably playing was with my dad and my mom in the backyard with the mini ball, mini net. That's how I started playing and just fell in love with the game since I was really young. And it's a fun sport to play. I've enjoyed it for many years, 10 years now. And I go to Cora, and I play midfielder for the team.
Now, AJ, did you play any clubs? We were talking about the name because I still want to call it Civics, but whatever. Like, what clubs did you do in the Sioux?
I played with the Civics Club for about 5 years, and then
Okay.
I stopped this year. But I played, it's still called Civics.
Oh, it is called Civics. Okay. And then moved on to high school.
Yeah.
All right. And next we have Tyler Greco.
I'm Tyler Greco. I go to Spirit Heights. I'm in grade 13 and I play center defense. I started playing when I was like 4 or 5. I played for quite a while and then I quit because I was playing Black Sox baseball, but I found myself back at soccer when I got to high school.
Okay. Did you play all your years of high school? Did you play soccer?
Grade 9 and 10 were canceled.
Oh, sorry. Yes, because
Yeah.
COVID. Yes.
But I started up in 11.
Nice.
Nice. And both of these young men are definite multi-sport athletes. Yes, they were both telling us about all the sports that they play. Okay, so in terms of soccer, which is why you're joining us tonight, both of you started really, really young. And so do you remember your very first soccer game?
I don't think I could say I remember it, but I remember first team I played, I was like a maroon color, and I wore number 7.
Uh-huh.
And I wore it for, I forget the reason, but now I look at it like Ronaldo. I wore in 7 pretty much my entire life. So I've been carrying the number 7 on. That's the earliest memory
Yeah.
from
Uh-huh.
soccer.
Yeah. Tyler, do you remember the very first time you played?
Not really.
No.
I was 4 or 5 and really small. That's all I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's Timbits soccer the same way it's Timbits hockey.
Right. And
Yeah.
small ball for basketball.
Small ball for basketball.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, what surprises you guys most about the sport when you're on the field? Your team's out there, you're playing. What surprises you?
One thing that surprised me is it's like a really long game, but it goes by fast. Like the halves are 40 minutes,
Oh wow.
but
Oh, that is a long game.
and there's 2 halves to a game.
Yeah.
So it's like an 80-minute game. There's like added time onto it, and it usually goes by fast. Like it doesn't feel like 40 minutes, but after the game, like you have the adrenaline going, you're not tired. Then after the game, it hits you and you're just gassed.
You just crash.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. That is a long.
That is a long game.
That's a long game. So, okay, so 2 40-minute halves. I don't know the terminology. Like your break in between, like
It's halftime.
it's halftime. Thank you. How long is halftime?
Usually 10 to 15 minutes.
And
Okay.
do you leave the field?
Usually not in the suit because we don't have any locker rooms to go to. So you just
Yeah.
stay on the bench with your team, get
Right.
some water.
Talk strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long then with your like stalking, like the game stops, right? Because there might be a foul and all those types of things. Like how long is a soccer game?
Depends. Like it could go for like 2 hours. Like
Wow.
you could have like 10 minutes like extra time to a half,
Sure.
and it could add a lot.
Wow. That is a long.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that is a
It's
long time.
commitment.
That's a commitment. All right, Tyler, anything surprised you about the game?
Probably the physicality. You wouldn't
Yeah.
think it's a very physical sport, but then you end up with your bumps and bruises and you're all sore after the games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the cardio impact in soccer?
I'm pretty trained on cardio from my years across country, but I don't know. We don't sub very much. Like especially center defensemen, we don't sub really at all. So it's a lot of sprinting and not a long time for breaks. So adds
Yeah.
up. You get tired.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, being multi-sport athletes, you guys are always exercising, right? You're always participating in sports, so I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, it does.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Kelly.
All right. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm curious now because I'm picturing you, Tyler, running up and down the basketball court and not really subbing out. How big is the soccer field?
About 100 meters,
Yeah.
like lengthwise, and it's like 50 meters wide.
A
Yeah,
lot of space.
that's a lot. When you think that you only have 10 people covering that whole field, really, like on your team, right? So 10 people are covering the whole field.
Yeah.
That's a lot of distance.
It's like the football field without the end zones, but it's a bit wider too.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
The yellow lines on Superior are the soccer field lines.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know what the yellow lines are. I'll pay attention next time, though, I promise. Yeah.
So when you guys, your grade 9 year was a COVID year, but when you started and you thought, I'm going to go out and play high school soccer, what did tryouts look like?
It looks like it's a lot of coaches trying to see what you can do, if you can pass, if you can like control the ball, because not everyone's played the sport for their entire life, so not everyone controls it the best. And I don't know, a lot of coaches, if you work hard, it gets you a spot. If you're always working hard, running, want to get the ball, the coaches like to see that. That's what the coaches usually praise. Hard work gets you on the field. And if you have a good attitude, coaches don't want you to be yelling at them the whole time.
No coach wants to, for sure. And have you been on teams, and we didn't actually ask this to the coach, let me start this question again. Have you gone to tryouts for teams where people haven't made the team? Or is there kind of just like there's a spot for everybody? I know football talks a lot about like there's a spot for everybody, right? In soccer, are people getting cut?
My grade 11 year, there was nobody cut, but my grade 12 year, we definitely made some cuts.
Oh, okay.
And this year, I'm assuming we're going to be making cuts by the team list again.
Okay.
Okay, so it is a real tryout.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you go to practice, which will be starting soon, right? What are some of the soccer drills that you do? And do you have like a favorite soccer drill? Do you have a least favorite soccer drill?
Well, when we're on the turf, we do this drill called World Cup, where it's 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 inside of the penalty box. You have to make a certain amount of passes before you shoot, and then whatever team gets scored on is out, or you can play to 3, and a new team of 5, 4, 3 is in to play against you.
And that's one of your favorites?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like that one? AJ, do you have a favorite drill?
Probably any type of shooting drills. Those are the most enjoyable. You're able to like joke around with friends and stuff the most, and don't have to take them as seriously as passing drills, but you still take them seriously. And everyone enjoys shooting. No one wants to like be running around in drills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For the drills, is the goalie or the keeper
We learned it's a keeper.
staying in the net the whole time, or are they coming out to kick?
Depends on the drill, really. If you're shooting, they're going to be in the net.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we did our ball handling, the keeper would do ball handling with us. Sometimes he would go off with a separate coach and just do specific goalie training.
And that was a question I was going to ask, because it's a very different position from everybody else on the field, right?
Yeah.
The keeper. So is there often then, would most teams have separate coaching for the keeper?
Most teams do,
Yeah.
from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. That would be sort of standard.
Yeah, every team I've been on has had one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Sure. Now, do you have a least favorite drill?
Probably it's called rondo, and it's one big circle, and you have either, depends how big, like 1 or 2 defenders in the circle. And if you're the defender and you're caught in there for a long time, it could be tiring, because once you have to take the ball away to get out of the circle, and the person who loses the ball has to go in, and like you could be in there for like 10 straight minutes.
Mm.
And it could get really tiring. Probably my least favorite drill.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd probably have to say either cardio when it's super hot, or we do a long headers drill when it's super cold. It can really hurt if you get the ball in the wrong spot.
Yeah. I can imagine.
I'm sure it can.
Does the turf hurt?
Yes.
Yeah.
You get turf burns for sure.
Yeah.
They recommend don't slide on, or else like your legs will be
Like shredded.
shredded, like a bunch of little cuts.
But I feel like many soccer players do slide.
Yeah, but they usually don't play like on grass. It's good, but on the turf it just kills your legs.
Right. So you actually like actively try not to do it on the turf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When during football season, the little pieces of turf
Oh.
are everywhere in our house. That turf, we've got a lot of it in our house. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Are
gosh.
there any rules when you're on the field that you struggle to remember?
Probably offside for me, because it moves, like the offside line moves during the game.
Okay.
And,
Oh, so we might need an explanation of that.
So, offside in soccer, it's the last defender, but that's not the goalie, behind their, like, on their side. So, like, you're onside your half, you're good, but if the defender moves back and you're behind them, and they're in their area, and you're approaching their area as in the offensive zone, and you're behind them and you receive the ball, it's an offside, because you're giving yourself an unfair advantage. Yeah, that's probably the hardest one, especially live during the game where it's so fast paced. We always have to like know where it is and how to like make sure you don't go offside.
Okay, so what happens when you go offside? Does the ref blow the whistle, the game stops?
Yeah, the ref blows the whistle down where the player touched it, offside, and the other team's ball, and this continue play.
So then the other team would take the ball and throw it in?
A kick.
A kick.
Yeah.
I'm picturing that.
Yeah, I'm picturing the double-handed throw. No.
No.
No, that's if it goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's if it's out of bounds.
Yeah.
So if it's offside, it's a kick in. If it's out of bounds, it's the throw over the head.
Everything on the field is a kick in. Everything out of bounds is a throw.
Oh, that okay.
Like
Like
balls.
honest to God, thank you for that statement. That makes perfect sense, actually. Okay. Holy moly, like there's
I
so much
know.
to learn.
So much.
So much. Okay. That was good to learn though. Mm-hmm.
How do you manage your pre-game jitters? Like, do you get nervous before a game? Do you get excited before a game?
Do you have a ritual? Superstition?
I don't really get jitters, but the last 2 years, every single game, I've gone to Starbucks before the game.
Okay.
It's food. It's
Yeah,
food.
food is
Food's
common.
one of the common ones, yeah.
No food, just drinks.
Just
Well,
drinks,
yeah.
okay. So Starbucks,
Yeah.
like caffeine?
No, just I guess a fruity drink.
A fruity
And you
drink.
bring it to the bench.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Jay?
I usually something sweet, like a little box of a chocolate,
Yeah.
and it gets me going.
There we go.
Something I always done.
Yeah.
Remember honey was-
Honey, we've had at least 2 athletes with the honey before
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Do you have any superstitions like you have to put, and I don't even know what the equipment is. I imagine you're wearing like shin guard or.
Well, I don't have any of those, but finals, I always have like a little bit of Nutella for some reason. I've done it since I was really young, and I've just always done it. Any finals game, I just have it. It's just a superstition I have.
Yep.
So no socks are going on first, you're not putting.
No,
No,
we had
When
one
they're making
athlete,
sure.
remember the one athlete, I think it was Talia Wardell, hockey, and every game they win, she won't wash her socks.
Yes.
And so so if they keep winning, she keeps wearing those same socks over and over again. That's her superstition. Nothing like that?
No,
No?
not a big superstitions person.
No? Okay, so if you are playing a game, and I guess I was going to say if you're playing with girls, but you wouldn't. I'm getting my sports jumbled up here. You wouldn't be playing. So we often ask, though, is there a difference in how boys and girls play? But you guys maybe wouldn't know that answer as much as, like normally we have like a male and a female athlete. But from what you've seen, is there a difference in how girls play soccer?
I've played a few girls teams before.
Okay.
Just in the past, it just tends that men's teams are a bit more aggressive. There's a bit more fouling. They're a bit quicker on the ball.
But in general, it's the same rules, it's the same play, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with them, and it's a lot of depends on the team. Every team has like their own identity and like how they play differently. So it all depends on the coach too. Some coaches like playing more aggressive. Some coaches like playing more laid back. So it all depends on the coach too.
True. Yeah, that would make sense.
How do you guys support your teammates? And you talked about there not being a lot of subbing in and out, but how do you support from the sidelines?
Just cheer for them, really. Just don't be negative, because then coaches don't like that, and then just brings the player down as well.
Right. Yeah.
Just positive comments, I'd say.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess you could watch to see if there's anything the coach doesn't notice, or if somebody's the starter at your position, you could watch their position to see what they're doing or give them tips or whatever.
Okay.
So I love this question. If you were going to encourage somebody to try soccer who had never played before, what would you say to them to encourage them to try?
It's a ton of fun. I didn't really know what I was getting to when I first tried out for high school. I wasn't really too excited to go play soccer again. My mom's a huge soccer person, so she kind of forced me into going to tryouts, but I ended up having a great time, and I wish I would have got to play in 9 and 10 for sure. It's a great group of guys. The practices are fun. I mean, sometimes they're hard work, but it's always a great time, and you get to go on tournaments with your friends, and it's it's one of the best sports to play, just from a fun standpoint.
Nice. AJ, what would you say to convince somebody?
I'd agree. It's a lot of fun to play the sport, and you make a lot of memories. I didn't expect I didn't really know what to expect going into my grade 9 year last year, and it was a lot of fun. The tournament was really exciting, and you just make so many memories. It's a big group of team, so you make a lot more friends, a lot closer friends, and usually the team environment's always just amazing to be at. Practices, you're always able to find those moments where you just like goof off in a way, but not really. Just play around and then be serious.
So we only have so many high schools in Sault Ste. Marie, right? So you're probably playing the same teams. Do you find a difference in, maybe not in skill, but in style of play when you go outside of the city to play? Like if you're going to go to NASA or OFSA
Or just even if you get
or
to go to a
even-
tournament?
Yeah.
At our NASA last year, a lot of the teams were very top heavy, if that makes sense. So their top players were very, very skilled, and then some of their other players were a lot weaker. So they mainly play through 2 or 3 players, and that's just their play style, I guess. And as our teams, we are able to target their weaker players.
Okay,
Oh.
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. I always say it depends on the coach as well. But when our team went to North Bay, and it was pretty balanced. But the Sudbury teams for like NASA are usually the strongest. Like Llewellyn
Yeah.
Llewellyn and St. Charles are always the stronger teams, I'd say, in Sudbury, and they always have like a really good teams like the Sioux.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Sioux's pretty spread out, I'd say, with soccer and a lot of skill around them.
Now, have either of you had the opportunity to play teams in Southern Ontario, like to get out of Northern Ontario?
No.
No, I just wondered if there would be more of a difference there, because some athletes have told us that, they get so much more for opportunity than we do in the North that, sometimes we can't compete with them.
They're a lot bigger athletes. Like, they're so much taller down south. I don't know why, but when I used to play civics, when we ever went down to like Toronto area,
Okay.
everyone was so much bigger.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
What's stunting our growth here in Northern Ontario?
I think they just have more people to choose from.
They just have more
yeah.
people to choose from. That's exactly it. Exactly it. All right, so we love to end with our athletes asking them to do a shout out to people that have supported you in your sport. And it can be more than one person. It can be family, coaches, other athletes, or whatever. And you certainly are multi-sport athletes too. So if there was a shout out that you were like, you know what, I want to bring this back to football for a minute, and I want to give this shout out, that's fine too. We are here for all the positive shout outs that we can give. What episode was it? It was football, actually, where they just kept going. They just kept going. Liam and Will. That was awesome. That reminds me, this person. Anyway, so who would like to go first with some shout outs?
I can.
Sure.
So I'd like shout out my parents. Obviously, they do a lot, driving me to sports, make sure I have like my jerseys, socks, shorts washed, make sure I'm able to have something before. And the coaches, always have to give them a shout out because they teach you everything that you know. And coaches I'd like to give a shout out to my high school coach, Mr. Pagliaro, who's really helped me with my other sports and managing them out. And the football coach, Tom Annett, give him a shout out because he really encourages you to play every sport. He's not, everyone thinks he's like just football, but he rather you play a bunch of other sports than just one. He says it makes you a much better athlete.
And I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Tyler?
So I'll start with our last year's soccer coach. His name is Drew Johnson. I give a shout out to him because he got me into soccer in the first place when I was in grade 11. And he just made it a great experience for the past 2 years I did it. This year we have a new coach in, actually. You'll probably know him. He's a teacher at Spirit Heights. His name's Matt Greco. I'm excited to see how that goes. And then I'll also give a shout out to all my other coaches from my previous sports throughout the year. And I'll finish it off with my grandparents and parents who will never miss a game, no matter if it's -10 or +30, doesn't matter.
Tyler, I even know who your grandma is from from sitting with her in the basketball.
She's always there, yeah.
She is always there, and she is very, very proud of you. Yay for grandparents, right?
I'd agree.
Yay for grandparents.
They're always there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
Always give you a hug after the game, no
Yes.
matter how
no matter how
sweaty
you did,
are.
right?
No matter how sweaty or gross you are, they always give you a hug.
Yeah.
They don't really care.
Yeah, I have noticed in sitting in the bleachers and so on, because my son plays sports. But I've noticed how many grandparents are in the stands.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. Yeah. So I think we just have to give a colossal shout out to all those grandparents.
They're so proud.
Right? They are so proud. I'm Tyler's grandma. Like, she's adorable. She's absolutely adorable. So yeah, shout out to the grandparents for sure. Well, we wish you guys a great upcoming soccer season.
Thank
And Tyler, you're doing all of the sports right now. So you have a pretty tight schedule between badminton, track, and soccer, right? Now, AJ, are you doing any other sports right now besides soccer?
I have track as well.
You do track as well, okay. Oh my gosh. You guys, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you juggle it all, but hats off to you, and I wish you a really good soccer season.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so that wraps up our soccer episode, and just a reminder, coaches, we're looking for those shout outs. Athletes, feel free to send shout outs to your coaches, send us shout outs to your fellow athletes. We really want to be giving out lots of positive support in our last episode, so we need everybody to get those to us. So thanks for listening. Kelly, we did it. We learned a lot again.
Yep.
And we're done.
We're done.
We're done. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye.